Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I want to show you the new project I'm working on. This is an English Ivy Quilt Block, and I am making it into a quilt where the blocks are on point. And this is one of those vintage blocks that I had mentioned I wanted to explore this year and learn how to make. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So I'll adjust the camera and show you some of the details. Okay, here is one of the English Ivy quilt blocks. This is it on point, and this is a pattern. I don't know how old this is, but I've seen it in quilt block books, and usually what I have seen, everything is one color. They don't use multiple colors like I have two different colors here. When I decided to do this, I wanted to do it in some reproduction fabrics, and what this is Jane Austen at home fabrics, and that is the red and the blue here, and then this pink floral, which is another variation that I did. And I originally was planning on doing this block, and then before I placed my order, which I ordered this online at Missouri Star Quilt Company, before I placed my order I thought this may be too pale, and so I went ahead and I bought one of the coordinating fabrics, which was the dark pink. And so I did this one first, and so the pink really stands out on that one, but I also wanted to see what it looked like with this print here, and I like this one too. So I am going to make a quilt that has 9 of these blocks in it, and I'm going to set them with alternating plain blocks. So I'm going to show you the fabric labels. Okay, if you're wanting to know what fabrics these are, this dark pink one is Lady Catherine, and this is Jane Austen at home. They're all Jane Austen at home, and the background is Kona cotton and bone, so that's not a Jane Austen. This is Jane Austen, and that is Julia, and then this floral print is Elizabeth. So the prints in this line have female names in it, if I remember correctly. So I've only bought 3 of those prints out of that line, but I think it's a very pretty line, and I will probably buy more of that. The bone yardage was recommended as a background fabric for this. It was a coordinating print, so that was a big help that I didn't have to worry about trying to match that up online. To me, what makes this a little bit like an intermediate block is the fact that it has a lot of pieces, and it has a lot of half square triangles. And in this pattern, what I decided to do is to make these half square triangles in the 8 at a time method, because it takes 8 half square triangles to do all of these points on the flower and the leaves here. And then the stem, I did a fusible web on the back of a 1/4 inch strip of fabric and fused it down, and then I attached the triangle here. So I'll go ahead and show you how I make this block, and then I hope maybe you'll give it a try and find a way to use it in your home. This will be kind of a throw quilt for me, or a small quilt to put on my bed. Plus I have made this design with scraps from my stash, and I've sewed 4 of them together with the centers all pointing together like this, and that's going to be like a table topper for my dining room table. So one of my goals this year is to have table runners or table toppers that I can interchange on my table to kind of dress it up and have a change it around as I want. So I'll clear this off, and then we can get started on making the block. Okay, I have my bin here, and this is my project bin. I keep all of the materials that I need to make the block. And what I have done is I have gone ahead and made all of my half square triangles, and I did those with the 8 at a time method. Everything else I've already cut, but I labeled it. I put just tore up strips of notebook paper and wrote the size on it, and then I got my binder clips, and I've got all of these pieces clipped together. So everything's labeled, it's all together, so I won't lose track of it. So here are some triangles. These are squares that will go on the base of the block. I know that because I've got the line drawn on it already. And here are the leaves. Here's the base of the flower. Here's the other half of the unit that goes with the leaves, and here is the background for the stem units. So I've got those all there. I have my instructions in there, and I have, this is my outer border, my inner border, and my binding. So I have everything together. I have my corner triangles, I have my setting triangles, and then I have my alternate blocks in here also. So I'm all ready to go. And I'm going to start with my directions. I typed all of these up after I made my first block, and then as I'm sewing through this, I'm finding changes that will make it easier to put this block together. So I pencil those in, and then when I'm done with this, I will make all the changes, and then I'll have a complete pattern if I ever want to go and do this pattern again. So I will post these directions also on my blog, and I'll put a link in the description below for you so that you can run those off if you want to. So first thing I'm going to do is make the leaves from the half square triangle units. And I've got them all together in groups of 8 because there's 8 in each block. So I can just grab one group of these and work with these at a time. And the first thing I have to do is to lay them out, because there's 2 different layouts for these groups, and I'm going to set them so that they make sense to me, so they'll be backwards to you. But this is layout number 1, and I need 2 of these, and then layout number 2 is going to go the opposite direction like this. Let me separate them a little bit like that. Okay, so then I'm going to sew them together in groups of 2. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these together in units of 2. And I'm just going to chain piece these all together. And then do the next 2 sets. I'm going to lay them back out where they were, and then I'm going to press. And I'm going to press these seams open because I found that that's the easiest way to get everything together. So I'm going to press all of these open. Okay, now I need to sew a 2.5-inch square onto this side of a layout 1 unit. So I'll go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to press towards that square. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is to sew these pieces to this 4.5 inch square, and I'm going to take a layout 2 piece and sew it here, and then take this layout 1 piece with the blue square and sew it there. Okay, next thing I need to do is to make the leaf units, and I'm going to take these layouts here of the half square triangles. This is a layout 1. I'm going to turn it this way and add this triangle. This is layout 2, and I'm going to add this triangle, and this one is going to go this direction. So they're going to be mirror image of each other. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these triangles on and press them. Okay, so we have these two, and let's press them. And just press them towards the triangle. And then I want to trim off my little dog ears again. Okay, and now I need to add the floral backgrounds. So we're going to take this one, lay the triangle this way. So we're just making a larger triangle is what we're doing. And then this one is, yeah, it's going to lay this way, and then the triangle is going to go like that. So we'll have these two leaf units. So I'm going to take them and I'm going to do some pinning again, and just get my pin cushion. And I'm going to watch where this point is here and not blunt that off. So that's my goal. So I'll lay that one over there, and then we'll do the same here. Just line up the raw edges. Okay, and we'll sew these. And then when I get up to the point, I'm just going to watch that. I just knocked my pin cushion off onto the floor. So pull this one out of the way. we need to press. Okay, so I'm going to press that flat. And then press towards the triangle. And I'm being careful not to stretch that bias edge here. Let's do the same to this one. Okay, now I need to trim off these little dog ears. Okay, now I need to finish these units by adding the background triangles. So I'm going to take 2 of those, and then we'll just lay those out right sides together for both of these, and I'm just going to pin them starting on this side. So I'm going to line up the triangles and pin them together. I left my wrist pin cushion upstairs, so I had to run up there for something, I don't remember what anymore, and still had it on, and I forgot to bring it back with me when I came down. So that has my good pins in it. These are my older pins that I don't care for as much. Okay, let's pin here in the center and do the same here. Now ready to sew these seams. And I'm going to watch my points as I go. Do the other one. Okay, now I'm ready to press. Okay, so I'm going to just press the seam flat and then press it open. Set that aside and do the same with this one. And turn my steam down a little bit. Okay. So we have those done, and now I need to trim off the dog ears on these. Okay, the stem unit is going to take a 6.5 inch background square. So I'm going to take one of those. And it'll take a 2.5 inch blue square that I have a line drawn on the end. Plus it's going to take a piece of fabric that's a 1/4 inch wide by about 10 inches long and has fusible web on the back. So what I did was I took a piece of fabric that is about 10.5 by 3.5 inches, and I fused a piece of fusible web on it and trimmed it to make sure there's web around on all the surface, even like on the edges. And then I'm cutting that into 1/4 inch width strips for the stem. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to fold this in half on the diagonal, and I'm going to do a light press so that I can see the center. And these are strips that I cut out of fabric that I've already backed with a fusible web, and this is a pressure sensitive fusible. And I'm going to center this on here. One thing you can do is draw a line like 1/8 of an inch from that edge. I like to kind of just line it up with that crease and then move it over just a bit and do my best to center it. And since it's pressure sensitive, I can adjust it. So I'm just going to push that down and then flip it over and see if it's where I want it to be. This edge looks really good. This one is over this direction a bit too far, so I'm gonna pull that up and see if I can get it a little bit better. And I like that where that is. So now I'm going to press it, diffuse it in place. And then I'm going to trim off these ends. Okay, and then I can just get rid of these. Oh, good, I hit my basket. Okay, next thing I need to do is to sew this square on. So I've already got my line drawn across. I'm going to put them right sides together. And I'm going to pin this in place. And then I'm going to sew directly on that line. Okay, and find my scissors again. And clip my threads, and now I just need to trim off this bottom triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and use my fabric scissors for that, and just leave 1/4 of an inch of for seam allowance. Like that, and then I'm going to press this down. So I'm going to press it in place first. And then press it open. And maybe give it a little shot of steam. Okay. So here we have that. And now I have all 4 units done, so now I need to sew them together. So I'm going to lay them out the way they need to go, and then sew them together. Okay, I have to watch my pattern to make sure I get everything in the right place. The flower bud will go in my upper right hand corner, and then these leaves should all be on the bottom half of the block. So like here's the background is towards the flower, so the leaf goes on the bottom part of the block, and then the stem unit goes like that. So now I'm going to sew these 2 together and these 2 together, and then I'll sew the rows together. And I will go ahead and pin my ends together. And then put a pin in the center, just like that, and then do the same with this one. And I don't have any seams to match, but I do have to watch points. So I'm going to sew with the half square triangles facing up so that I can watch those points there. Okay, so now I'm ready to sew. Well, here is the finished quilt block. I think it turned out really well, and I am almost done making all the blocks for this, and then it's just a matter of putting them together with alternate blocks in rows and doing the borders and then on to the quilting. So even though this pattern is a little bit more complicated than a normal beginner pattern, I think if you are familiar with making half square triangles, you could do this block. You just have to watch the placement of the triangles and make sure you get them in the right order. And I think you could do this one. So I hope you'll give this one a try. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.